I'd like to call the Conservation Commission and Wetlands and Watercourse Agency meeting of Tuesday, July 18th to order, and we have a roll call. Do we have any alternates? We have vacancies. Yeah.
One for Andrew.
And so who's Caitlin, would you like to share some? All right. Okay. And let's see, approval of minutes for June 20th. Anyone have any comments or changes or additions? Hearing none, if we accept our without objection, we file them for the record. All right, on to new applications for receipt determination of significant. Application CB number 23-28 of 38 Longview Drive, LLC, owner James Lewis, applicant for a wetlands permit to dredge plus or minus 1,000 square foot pond on the property for regular maintenance of the pond at 38 Longview Drive, assessors map C13, box 301.020.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Yes, this item is for receipt and determination of significance for the dredging of a pond on the property at 38 Longview. Pond, the applicant explained, it's 1,000 square yards. There is a small portion of the pond that's going to be worked on for maintenance, the south side. And I have a few pictures that I can show you on the following slides for that. The maintenance includes the removal of sand, silt, and vegetation. And it's going to be with the use of an excavator on site. And there's the soil and erosion controls that are being proposed, including hay bales and silt fencing around the stockpile and equipment area. There was a previous approval for this maintenance. I found one in our files from 1991. The applicant might have one that was sooner. I didn't see it, and they deemed it non-significant at that time, just for your information. And so here's a few pictures. The first is the proposed soil and erosion controls at the pond. And then there's a view of the current condition of the pond, the area being worked in, and then a close-up of that bridge that shows more of the sand and sedimentation that's occurred. And then just a few other pictures that give you a good idea of the area. And the applicant's here to answer questions you might have.
So has it been 30 years since this has been done, or was it done?
No, we did it in 2008. So about every 15 years it fills up and it's cleaned up.
And what do you do with the material that comes out of the pond?
So the plan is to leave it on site, spread it out, and then put grass on it. Use a proper silt fence it.
That's what you've done in the past too.
Yes.
When did you want to get this done?
I was shooting for this summer. I have a contractor ready to go this summer. So in theory, that's the driest time of year to do it, but we'll see.
Yeah. So on the far side of the pond, is that all those areas?
Yes. Yeah. That's a picture from 30 years ago, but it hasn't changed much.
So it says in the application that you want to keep a 6-foot buffer next to the pond.
When we got the permission 15 years ago, they recommended that there was 6 feet of untouched grass area or vegetation, mostly to collect any grass fertilizer. And so we tried hard to maintain that.
So do you fertilize the lawn?
Organically.
If you do the soil test first?
I have a guy that does it.
Yeah, they're happy to put it on, but you might consider doing a soil test first, because you might not need the fertilizer at all.
Okay.
So if you did a soil test first, then you'd see whether you need to, and that would determine how much you would need.
You mean for the replanting of the
No,
area?
for the grass.
Oh, for the grass.
So the main thing you're dredging out is sand, but you get any organic matter in there too?
No, not. I mean, it's really pretty pretty much straight sand.
Is that coming from the road? Is there a?
They used to come from the road, but you guys don't use sand anymore, so it's just naturally occurring.
Right, I think Stratton Brook needs into it, is that?
It leads into.
It leads in, yeah.
Still flowing through the system,
Mhm.
and sand from years past, still flowing through the system.
Yeah.
And you said it needs, they recommended a 6 foot buffer untouched?
Correct.
So,
That's what they told me 15 years ago.
yeah, so it wouldn't need mowing around it.
Correct.
So that area around it, you said is being mowed all the way around it?
Yeah, but with a buffer around.
Okay.
And on the far side, we don't fertilize it.
And the plants around the edge of the pond, are they, what are they?
Weeds.
Weed whipped. You have an opportunity for some nice natives, there. And probably 6 feet would be minimal,
I was gonna say, what's the best practice now on this?
be more than 6 feet.
Probably. Is there an actual guideline for that?
Is there a purpose to the mowing on the far side?
Cosmetics. And we do get, when we do, I was out there weed whacking and, we do get more animals, deer and things like that, a lot more often when it's mowing.
And this activity, the dredging is just so it doesn't silt up and
Correct.
stop the flow of water.
Correct.
Is it spring fed or is it?
It's a stream that they turned into a pond and now wants to be a stream again.
Oh, so there's an inlet and an outlet?
Correct.
Okay.
I mean, an increased buffer would probably be a good idea. 6 feet is.
I would say on this side of the pond, we probably have more like 15 feet.
That would
Because the
be,
bank is a little steeper.
yeah, that would be a better, try, and probably on, all around it, 15 feet would be.
Probably help with slow some of that runoff down. That is over to.
And if you do have any excess fertilizer coming off the lawn, the plants will absorb it or gets into that.
Correct.
Yeah. Do you have any problems with algae in that pond?
Not a lot,
Some.
some sure, yeah.
Yeah, so that would help with that too.
Yeah.
And I think the soils test, so you're not,
Sure, yeah. No,
spending
yeah.
excess money on something you don't need.
Yeah.
And the soil tests are either free or very inexpensive. Any other questions? Yeah, and entertain a motion.
I'll move that this is not a significant activity and we, take up the adjudicator at the next regularly scheduled meeting.
Second.
Any discussion, all in favor? Right. We have a public hearing tonight. For application CC 2321 for Hannah Marlowe, owner for a map amendment to the town of Simsbury's official wetlands map and regulated activity for installation of a plus or minus 465 square foot in-ground pool and associated site improvements at 25 Orchard Lane. Assessors map D16 block 419 lot 034. So I call the public hearing to order. Thank you. Thank you.
So this item, 25 Orchard Lane, they are proposing a map amendment for wetland soils that are on the property. A soil scientist was hired by the homeowner for the soil delineation. And then an official wetlands map is going to be presented to you. Because this is a public hearing for the proposed map amendment, there was noticing requirements for the property. The abutters were noticed, and it also was published in the Hartford Courant. And this is the map. This is helpful, which was helped with the applicant's doing. It shows the old wetland soils and then what's being proposed. And so the red is the new boundaries, the new proposed boundaries, and the green is the old boundaries.
Right, so my takeaway from this was that, make sure I'm interpreting it right, that the original boundaries were just a little bit further out, just moved in a little bit, so we're changing that, so the stuff on the outside is no longer a wetland soil area.
Right, so.
But still, in terms of this project, it doesn't really affect much.
So now they're in the upland review area instead of actually the wetland soils.
Instead of the wetland soil.
So,
Okay.
yep.
And is there any public audience?
I don't believe so, but you should probably just ask if there's anyone in support.
So,
Okay.
All right, and is there any public comment? Yeah.
Just a more questions.
You want to introduce yourself for the record?
Hello, everyone. Hi, nice to meet you. My name is Troy Waffler. I'm one of the residents in Hemlock Ridge. That's kind of the part of the abutting HOA or PUD. My main concern is I wanted to know if this was going to impinge at any point on the easement or, intrude on the wetland behind. So from what I understand, this might be a little rambling, sorry. Our association was originally created encompassing a large area, which was then turned into easement for water runoff and conservation, and then conservation of the wetlands. So I'm not here to cause any issues. I just wanted to make sure and find out, is this pool installation going to be impinging on that at all?
So the wetland soils were delineated just for this property. So there's not going to be any impact to any easements for the outside property. Are you asking about potential runoff?
Oh, that was a second question. I wanted to make sure, so I know sometimes pools have to be drained. Is there standard practice to how to drain into the sewer? Or is there any risk for like draining the wetlands?
So let's get into the next item, which is the regulated activity. This is purely a public hearing for the map amendment. So to change the map for the wetland.
Okay.
And that's on the soil type. So usually what happens is the soil scientist goes out and evaluates the soil to see where the edge of the wetland is, and the wetland is defined by this. So often they were done in the past by air photo interpretation, and so this just clarifies it by having someone go out and actually test. So just clears up what's a wetland and what isn't a wetland.
That makes sense.
It moves that 100-foot boundary, which is that review area.
Mhm.
In the final.
So just make sure, recap, make sure and understood correctly, this adjust to the map doesn't extend beyond their own existing property lines.
No.
Okay.
Nothing's mapped beyond that.
No.
It's except
Correct.
towns now. All right, we are going to approve the, close the
Close,
public
yes.
hearing. Close the
Good.
public hearing. So, do we have a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion, all in favor?
Okay.
All right, that's, we have a motion to accept the map.
So moved.
I'll second.
Any discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, good. Now, are we going for termination of significance?
So this was determined not significant at the June 20th hearing, but we just had this all together so they didn't have to come back.
Okay, so we
twice.
can now go on to the
Right.
termination.
Right, so the regulated activity portion of it, it's for the in-ground pool with an associated patio and heat pump and for a total ground disturbance of approximately 1,500 square feet in the upland review area. The pool location is approximately 8 feet from the newly delineated wetland soils. And on the next slide, you'll see silt fencing and construction entrance proposed for the project. So the red is the total disturbed area. The red hash mark is the construction entrance that will be going into it. The silt fencing is the red dotted line. And then the blue is where there's going to be a heat pump located next to the house that was added to the application. And then I just have the applicant provided pictures just to give you a visual.
So the wetland soils are currently under grass. Are they, are the wetland soils somewhere in the grassy area, the new delineation of the wetland soils?
What is,
Yeah.
yes.
And it's a forested wetland system. Wetland forest.
Yes, well, there's actual soils in it, and then the forested area as well. Let me see if I have enough. Oh, that's interesting. So I have the soil delineation from the map that was previous at the previous meeting. I can bring that up. That shows the classification of the soils. Let's get to the Dropbox. Yeah, that's a then upload draft. So here are the different classifications of the soils. So the sixes are the wetland soils. The higher numbers for 308s are the non-wetland soils. That were put in the report.
Will you be doing any landscaping on the other side of the pond? I mean, the pool.
So we're gonna have like a patio put in, but so plans out there. We're only gonna have the coping of the pool, so it's gonna come up with south, and then the plan is not to touch anything any closer to the wetlands.
What would you do?
Yeah.
We would recommend native plants.
Okay.
Sending to the wetlands. Better for wetlands.
Sure. Okay.
Where is the material going from the pool excavations to be taken off site?
Yeah, so we're gonna use some of it to regrade the property where it has to be regraded.
Okay.
But then we have someone that we've been in contact with that's regrading their property. And the advice of the soil scientist is when this, like the oxygenized soil actually has a chance to dry and need oxygen, it would be good for the topsoil. So the person I'm bringing the soil to, or they're gonna bring the soil to. So we won't be storing anything on the site.
And then as we asked that stuff, you can fertilize your lawn.
Yeah, not so much in the back.
Quite good.
As it,
But it's a good idea to do a soils test.
Sure.
Before you do, and you might save yourself some money on
Yeah.
fertilization.
Okay.
And then we typically ask about full procedures for like the draining of the pool, how will that be handled, et cetera, storage of pool chemicals.
Right. So the pool contractor, it's a fiberglass pool, and So it's all a closed system. And they're telling us that, we actually won't have to drain during the winter months. So, but when we do, we're gonna hire a water truck or a water pump truck to come and take off the top 2 feet or whatever it needs to be to be below the skimmer or at an appropriate height. So they're saying that there shouldn't be any drainage annually, but if there is, that's what we're gonna do. And then, so like if we have rain events like we had this week, right now we are planning on using an automatic cover. So this like covered completely sealed the top of the pool. So that would separate the chemicals from the pool from the rainwater, so we'd be able to pump the rainwater right off the top. Our plan is just to pump it into the yard. It's water that would drain into the wetlands anyway. I don't know if there's any advice on that. I'm all ears, but
Well, that seems like a good proposal. What are you gonna do from the full chemicals or such?
I guess I'm not 100% sure. So it's a saltwater.
Okay.
It's a saltwater pool with the chlorine ion or what's it called?
It has like a generator in the pump, so
So there shouldn't be a lot.
there's
of
like
chemicals.
minimal, you don't use shock anymore.
Okay, but they would be, I guess if they'd be stored well. Yeah, we've,
They'd be in the house.
Yeah, so I think where we've had problems or we've had concerns in the past is often people will store things like that in a shed right next to the wetlands.
Oh,
no,
And
it would be in
so if there's any,
yeah.
and so if there's any runoff or spillage, then it goes right in the wetlands.
Oh, yeah, it would be, there would be
Yeah,
the
no.
basement or the garage.
Yeah, be inside.
So you answered all the pool questions, great.
Any other questions from the commissioners? Yeah, need a motion.
I'll move that we find application CC 2321. For a map amendment to the town of Simsbury wetland map and a rated activity for the installation of an in-ground pool. That it will not adversely affect the wetlands on the property and also the short-term impacts from the development are controlled, subject to the staff conditions in the report.
Thank you. We did one more. Yes, all right, good. All in favor, any discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Moving on to general commission business.
All right, thank you.
Yes. All right, so, last time we met, we had discussed the POCD process, as Joe can tell us, moving along.
Quickly as it can.
Planning commission is going to be having their next meeting on the 25th.
Yes.
And they're.
Sorry, we have one designated agent item that we have to proceed.
Oh,
Before the,
but that was after the general commissions.
oh, okay, I'm sorry.
So we'll do that. All right.
Okay,
All right, good. So the planning.
So we spent several meetings going through the current P O C D. And Glenn Chalder, who's the consultant, let me back up. So we had the public meeting at the middle school, junior high, and we took all of those comments and Glenn added them to the current P O C D and changed things. We've changed the formatting and the way it's laid out and actually made, it's just supposed to be a quick edit, but we actually made a lot of changes to it. And then we went through the draft pretty much line by line. So we did a big groupthink edit project. And then we had another public meeting at the library in, when was that, June?
yeah, June.
I think it was June something. I think it was a regular meeting in June.
Mhm.
And it was a public meeting and we had a lot of comment. So there were quite a few people showed up. It was about a 2+ hour meeting.
Yeah.
A lot of comment, which was collected. And so then we're going to start meeting again for the next few meetings and go through the comments and see what other changes we may make to include or not include. And that's where we're at now. So our next meeting is scheduled for the 25th.
Were most of the changes sort of editorial or there's significant?
Well, we reconfigured the layout. I mean, there were, I would say it's,
I'd say a major theme was affordable
Yeah.
housing.
yeah.
Yeah. that
Yeah,
was brought up a lot.
we reprioritized things, because this was from 5, 6 years ago. Things were different, so now there's more of a emphasis on affordable housing. There is more, we've added some things, more things about conservation, native planting, things like that. So, I mean, there are changes. I think the big change is in the format and how it's laid out. We tried to make it more of a usable document. So some sections will refer to other sections, because there's a lot of crossover between things in there. And I think the feeling on planning was that everything was kind of in its own silo, so this chapter dealt with one thing, but a lot of times the chapters cross reference each other. So we tried to do that as well. I mean, anything I've missed, please jump in. I think I think it's a good document. I think it's a usable document. It's not the be all and end all. It's there as a guideline for the next five years anyway, until we do the complete rewrite. But I think we hit on some themes. We tried to make it so that it was a little bit more task oriented, so that the tasks were a little clearer. There were tasks at the end of each chapter, if you will, things that we would hope would be accomplished. We tried to make it a little bit more task oriented. Is it perfect? I think it's probably as well done as a document like that can be. Could it use some tweaks here and there? Probably. But that's what we work towards.
So speaking of tweaks, that's where we need to get our comments in,
Right.
So that they're reflected in the document. I know I went through the old POCD and put in comments that were supposed to be just sent to you guys, but it was sent apparently to everybody. But if you can look through the document, this is our chance for these 5 years to get our input in. It's a scintillating document.
Oh yeah, it's good. It's good reading.
Yes. So
if you're into that kind of thing.
What I'd like to see is if we can get it, if you can get your comments in by the 26th, that will give me time to compile them all together. And then we can look at them for the August 1st meeting, so that we can get them in a timely way to the planning. Which we meet once or twice a month.
We meet twice a month.
So that would get them in before your next meeting. But you meet.
We meet on the opposite Tuesdays of conservation.
Yeah.
So we're for what, first and third, and then planning second and
So it would
fourth
be the 8th.
Tuesdays. Yeah.
We get them
Right.
in by the 8th. So that is our task.
Yeah, and it's on
That's our deadline.
it's on the planning. It's on the website, right?
Mhm.
So if you go to the planning page,
And there's plan studies.
yeah,
The draft.
it's there. It's there as the draft.
So.
I mean, it's just a big PDF that you gotta go through, so.
So, look through my comments. If you've got any problems with them, let me know, or we'll send them to Brittany. And then Brittany, you can send them, complete ones back to me, and I will do unless you want to do the compilation.
You can do the compilation, and then I'll give it to George to give to.
And then I'll send it back after we do that. So, if anything strikes you that we need to, address in the policy, that this is our chance for 5 years.
Yeah.
And I commend the planning commission for taking on, because you have to do it for another 5 years.
I mean, we could have just left it, but,
Till
we
10.
felt that things are, there were some rapid changes, there's some big changes from 5 years ago. And I mean, one of which, the obvious ones, affordable housing, but I think there were some other ones in there too that needed to be addressed. We felt that, we should take the bull by the horns and change it.
And one of the things we're trying to do on conservation is often we get it sort of near the end of the, almost the final draft version, and then when you have any comments, and at that point it's a bit too late to tweak it.
Right.
So we wanted to be a little bit more proactive this time and get our changes in. early.
Yep.
So July 26th, if you could get your comments back to Brittany, then we can get them back to me. I can put them together.
I can, if you want, I can read through them and put them together. If you trust me.
Okay, but I want people to, then we can discuss them at the meeting.
Okay,
On the first.
Okay.
That's our solution.
we only have one meeting in August, so the fifth,
We don't meet on the first?
no, it's only August 15th.
Shoot.
Yeah,
All right, well, maybe can we do this by email? Can we do an approval?
yes, well, if everyone sends me their comments, I can look through them and put together a mass doc or a larger document. I can send it to you to take a look at
Okay.
and then forward them off to
If
George.
we have any.
Because George is really, I'm not at every planning meeting, George
Yeah.
is, so.
Yeah, but if we have any disagreements about things, I
Mhm.
mean, I'd like to send it as a consensus document from
Oh, okay,
conservation.
okay.
Would the 15th be too late?
well, we're probably, I would say yes. I mean, is it too late? Are we still doing it? Yes, but I think what we're looking to do is get the thing hammered down by the beginning of September and then have another
Mhm.
public meeting in September and get it locked and loaded and done by October, end of October, I think is what we were looking at.
Mhm.
So, yes, but I don't want it to get so far down the tracks that, the comments come in and they're like, well, we've already done that. We don't need to look at it. So I'm sorry. To bear
This is part of a process I've been looking into. The process for this revision didn't really have any deadlines
Mhm.
for comment, which is a bit of a problem. I know open space is also in the same situation, trying to figure out when are the comments due.
Right.
But that was a bit of a weakness in the whole process.
Let me confer with George tomorrow and see what he says about dates. And then I can email out the group.
Maybe we could have another meeting August 1st. We should have a special meeting just to hammer out the POC. If we could do that, maybe not the easy. But
I would remind everyone, the POCD is the view from 35,000 feet.
Right.
So we're not, down to nitty gritty details of how things are done, but what we're looking for the next 5 years. So it's a broader document. Yes.
I was at the public meeting,
Yes.
because my wife is on planning.
Yes,
And I will
I can't get
say,
away from these guys.
yeah,
They're everywhere.
as a general comment, nothing against the people that took the time to speak, but they were looking at things through a microscope.
yes.
Yeah.
And they sort of lost the fact that it's called the plan of conservation area.
Right.
Not a must do or action thing, it's a guideline.
But this is our opportunity.
Oh,
Right,
I'm not.
absolutely.
You're
exactly.
absolutely right.
But people are saying, what about this particular property
No.
and this particular
No.
house and this
So
particular?
we're looking at
They're like, well,
general,
that's not the point of this.
we're
This
looking
is
at
the
general
guideline.
planning. So this is our chance to get our
Yes.
points in.
Exactly.
Yes.
From the 35,000 foot level.
And
Right.
35.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, like native planting. It's not saying on this one street.
I want elms.
I want elms on this street, or you must take out this one little clump of burning bush and this
Oh, I
address.
disagree with that.
Yeah.
Anyway, so see what George says, if we can do this by email,
Okay.
maybe it's possible
I don't-
to get consensus. See if we can get consensus by email on, if anyone has, once we compile it, if anyone has any objections, and then they won't have to read.
Okay.
But, yeah, yes,
You've been incentivized.
Yes. do it so that we don't have to meet. But we have to do it soon enough so that we can notice a meeting. So how many days do we need to notice a meeting?
For a special meeting, 3 days for the town clerk, I believe, but it doesn't have to be,
Yeah.
it's not a public hearing.
So let's see if we can't do this by, we don't want
Let's
to
do this
miss.
by email.
Let's do it by email. and see what George says about it, but that's,
I think we can, on things like this, we all chimed in on email. And then,
that would be good. We have to chime in through Brittany's.
yeah,
And then we'll get it all coordinated and that would be great.
Yeah.
Excellent. All right. And, Brittany, I was looking, the next item is agent actions, but I'm trying to figure out what's the difference between general commission business and conservation. Well,
I don't know.
Should kind of,
Where's my other? So actually, I did have another general commission business. I
Okay,
guess
good.
general commission is wetlands or.
as opposed to conservation.
As
Yes,
opposed to
yes,
just conservation.
Hmm.
But George wanted me to give you an update that the suit, the lawsuit has been, that was appealed for the vessel decision for the wetlands. The town attorney is going through I guess it's called the scheduling portion of it. So he wrote a letter updating that there's gonna be a timeline and a schedule for it. And once that's completed, then he will report back about when that is.
So
it's
I have a
pretty-
question. So there are two lawsuits, or is this the
Yes.
one against zoning?
So this is the one against wetlands,
The wetlands one?
but there's
okay,
two, there is.
Yeah.
one.
Okay,
I'm just the messenger.
yeah.
and if we lose this one, we'll probably be added to the other one.
What do you mean?
If we lose the one for our commission,
Mhm.
because that would make it a denial, essentially. I assume we'd be added to going against zoning. I don't know.
And I did find it interesting. I read in the Current, the little flyer you get and
Mhm.
everything in the mail, that Vessel has suits against
Yeah.
Simsbury, Glastonbury, and Rocky Hill
Cause they were all denied.
Because
They're all denied.
by zoning.
Yeah,
And then they turned around and said, okay, in Rocky Hill, and said, okay, you denied for 30, we're gonna have an application for 96
Mhm.
at a different property. I think it's 6 acres and one of the 96 units on it. I thought that was very interesting.
Not know.
Thank you for that update on. And agent actions.
Agent actions. So one agent action this time. 22 Southbridge Court. It was to increase an already existing deck to 12 by 14 feet. The nearest point is to the wetland soils is 30 feet and it's kind of on the other side of the home. So we felt that this was agent action was appropriate. And that's it.
How big is the deck now?
It's 10 by 8.
Oh,
So it's gonna be 12 by 14.
Couple of feet.
Yep.
So you're just gonna put a new post in the.
Yep, they're putting one post in.
All right, conservation business, I do have one thing, Simsbury Land Trust has applied for a grant with the Simsbury Community Fund to write a basic plan removal booklet that if we get the grant, it would be a small booklet that we could send out to every property owner, what plants are problematic and why they need to remove them and how to remove them. So we have the information up on our website, but it's really hard to find on our town website. So this would be something tangible. I know that Simsbury Land Trust has done a walk book that people like to have. I mean, you could still go to the website and, do it, but people like to have that booklet. So we thought it might be something to have in their booklet, and I just wanted to make sure that the Conservation Commission was supportive of that idea.
I think it's a great idea.
I was gonna say, could we just do it to them?
That's what we would do. We would put that would be in the grant, but the more people we have on the grant saying, yes, it's a great idea. It would fill our obligation to the Conservation Commission as well, to get that information out. So the more people we have in support of that, so that.
I think the biggest problem with invasive is people don't know, they don't know how to go look.
No.
Or if you send them something, they.
Especially with pictures like,
Oh,
is that
yeah.
invasive? Because that doesn't look like a burning bush,
That's right.
because
That's right.
it doesn't have
Yeah.
the barky stuff.
Just having those pictures, it's better yet to do walks and I know the pollinator pathway, the land trust, and it should be the conservation commission are planning to have some walks in the fall. That's gonna be the focus of the Simsbury Land Trust talk about engagement plans. So we're gonna have some library programs, but the more we can do together, the better. we have a broader reach. All right, good.
I think if you set them something, you're far more likely to take notice of it than think of it on there.
But if we don't get it through the, one granting agency will try for another, but, do it together. But we don't need three separate ones. All right, so I just wanted to get that, all right. Council approval, okay. Any other things on conservation? Oh, then, well, I entertain a motion for this.
Second.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dave.